Hey guys, welcome back on my YouTube channel. And so, in today's session, today is 29th January, and in this video, we are going to read the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper. So, before I will start this video, I would like to say you so please like and like this video and share with your friends and your family member also. So first you will have to do one thing. You will have to like this video and subscribe this channel, and hit the bell button. So if when you will subscribe, you will get notification whenever I will upload a video on this channel. And for the English newspaper, I will upload daily 2 to 3 videos. First I will read I will upload videos from the Hindu newspaper, or either from the Indian Express, Business Line, or different type of newspaper. So I would recommend you please subscribe this channel. So you will, when you will stay on my channel for the long time, you will get different type of videos every day. So now it was all about my channel. Now we will move to our today's video. In our today's video, we will do 2 to 3 tasks. I will read this article, and this section also. Okay, so now let's erase these lines, and then we will start reading our newspaper. uh, okay, so let's start from here. I will like a highlighter. First we should zoom in also. I hope you have all watching this video casually. So in the first article, uh, the heading is at the center, and here it is written as India must stay in a step with the changes in the Central Asian region. So this article is about recently Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi has had a meeting with Central Asian countries, for 5 Central Asian countries president. So it is all about that how we should improve our relationship with them, which type of relationship we should make with them. I will zoom in. So now I guess you can clearly see the text. Okay, so as the joint statement at the end of the Indian Central Asia Virtual Summit on Thursday noted, so the joint statement, usually whenever you see that whenever two nations leaders meet, then they issue a joint statement, and a joint statement means that they both agree on these points, and in the future they will cooperate on these statements. So the summit had on Thursday, that is 27th January. Ties between India and the region have been historical clues with civilization, cultural, trade, and people to people linkage. So India has a very close relationship with Central Asian countries in the matter of civilization, on the cultural aspect, on the trade aspect, and the people to people linkage also. But the lack of access through land route and the situation in Afghanistan are among the biggest challenge. So these are the biggest challenge. We are not connected to with them by the land routes, and in the Afghanistan situation is also very into distress, because Taliban have thrown out their elected government, and now they are forming the government. They are terrorist organization is forming a government hosted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the President of 5 Central Asian Republic. It was first building on years of dialogue. So it was the first. We have a 30-year relationship with them. Uh, this year we have completed 30 years relationship with India and Central Asian Republic countries. So after those years, we had the first dialogue, this type of dialogue with them. The summit also came after the meeting of NSAs in Delhi. So in the recently, all NSAs, National Security Advisors of all these 6 countries, India and those 5 countries, had the meeting in Delhi, where they built on several common themes of concern and priority. To begin with, there is a problem of routing trade, a paltry 2 billion. So the problem is about trade, that we only have the $2 billion business with them, spent mostly on Kazakhstan as energy export to India, or is mostly in this mostly is related to that the energy we like crude oil or the gas we are taking from the Kazakhstan. In comparison, China's Central Asian Republic trade figures have exceeded $21 billion. So China has a very huge business with these Central Asian countries. They could double by 2030, and by that in the next 8 years, that will be around $80 billion. Apart from the billions of dollars invested in Belt and Road Initiative, and this amount will be differ from these billions dollars that China had invested in the Belt and Road Initiative, with Pakistan denying India transit trade. New Delhi's other operation is to smoothen the route through Iran's Chabahar port, but that will not involve greater investment in rail and road routes to Iran's northern boundaries with the SARS, something India is hesitant to do in the face of US sanctions. And there is a problem, we can reach to Central Asian country either through Pakistan, but as you know, Pakistan is not trustworthy, and we have not a good relations with Pakistan. So there is another way we can go to Iran by bypassing the Pakistan through sea, and like here is Iran, and then we can go through Iran. We can enter the Central Asian countries, but it is very risky, because for this then we will have to build invest heavily in their road construction, their railway transportation in Iran. And apart from this, there is a main issue that Iran and USA don't have a good relationship. So if we will go more or in the Iran, then can face US sanctions also. A third option is to use the Russia-Iran International North-South Transportation Corridor. But we have another option also, we can use the Russia-Iran. Wait a minute, I guess there is a glitch. Okay, now everything is fine. Okay. A third option is to use the Russia-Iran International North-South Transport Corridor via Bandar Abbas Port, but this is not fully operational, and at least. So there is another option. We can use this Russia-Iran International North-South Transportation Corridor, which has built between Russia and Iran, and via Bandar Abbas Port, but here is a problem that it is not fully operational, and the two countries of Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan are not part of this corridor. India too has dragged its feet over Tapi gas, and India has also dragged has setbacks from the Tapi gas pipeline, which was the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, due to supply guarantee, because there is not, because of the Afghanistan and Pakistan, there is no supply guarantee given the tension with Pakistan. Finally, there is Afghanistan. Now, now we will come on the Afghanistan point. The tenuous link between Central Asia and South Asia. Afghanistan, which links the Central Asia and South Asia, where after the Taliban takeover, there is no official government. So now there is no official government. Just some terrorists are running the government. A humanitarian crisis building, the humanitarian crisis very building, because they are oppressing the women's right there. They are not providing any type of right. There is no inclusive government there. However, they had promised before that we will build an inclusive government, but now they are denying from all those facts. But the funny thing is that they want a UN seat. They want their representation in UN, but they want to rule by their old Stone Age laws. Okay, so now let's move forward. And there are worries of terrorism and radicalization spilling over its boundaries. Each theme has been outlined in the summit joint statement as areas to work upon. So in this summit, in the joint statement, they have outlined all the areas where all six countries have to work. They have also agreed to more structured engagement, including the setting up the joint working group on Afghanistan and Jabhat, and more educational and cultural opportunities. While the attempt by India to institutionalize exchanges, press the pedal on trade, investment, and development partnership with the car, so is timely. It is by no means the only country strengthening its tie here. So here India want to strengthen their ties with countries over the trade, over the investment, and over the development partnership. While Russia is the most strategic player, China is now the biggest development and infrastructure partner to the countries. So here Russia is the most strategic player in the among, because these all five countries are the part of old Soviet Union, and China is the bigger development and infrastructure partner. So that's why India need to enter in those five countries also. The car president held a similar virtual summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping earlier. So these five presidents also had a meeting with Xi Jinping also. Pakistan has also increased its outreach to the south, and now Pakistan has also increased in its outreach, signed a transit trade agreement with them, offering trade access to the Indian Ocean at Gwadar and Karachi. And now they are also offering them that you can trade to Indian Ocean by going to Gwadar and Karachi. India will need to move nimbly to ensure it stays in steps with the change, and to make certain the future of ties more closely resemble the deep ties of the distant past. So now in the we will have to closely look on it, and we'll have to work on it to on our future ties, because we have very deep ties with them in the distant past. Okay, so now there is another article which is our valley and hills. For this video, I will change the color. Now I will select the green color. Okay, the BJP is seeking to bridge the divide between tribals and other people in Manipur. So now BJP, which is the central government of India, BJP, which is currently is in a majority in the our India, and the Prime Minister Modi, which is also affiliated to Modi, and in the Manipur also BJP is ruling. So what they are doing, they are because in the Manipur there are different tribals, and there is a divide between them, and they don't have, so they either there comes on the Indian democracy, but few tribals they are not believing in this democracy, and they just want their own rule. So what is, that's why there is a law FSPA is implemented in the northeast region. I will make a video and on which I will explain everything about FSPA, but it's time to read our newspaper. So, as the Bharatiya Janata Party is eyeing its second straight term in Manipur, so now Bharatiya Janata Party is looking on to, because in the Manipur there is election in the month of February, and the result will be declared on 10th March. So now Bharatiya Janata Party is looking at the that they would elect once again. In 2017, the party had finished second with 21 seats in the 60 strong assembly, behind the 28 seat won by the Congress. However, you will see that here are the 60 seats, and in the 60 seat for forming a government, you need a 31 seats for the majority, and Congress had 28 seats, so they only had the 3 less seat. But BJP had 21 seat, and they had around 10 lesser seats. So you will see that you can observe that Congress should form a government. But what happened there? BJP formed a government, and they made an alliance between NPP, National People's Party, and the Naga People's Front, and one MLA from the TMC and LJP, Lok Janshakti Party. So they did this thing in the last time, and for it, so it was very big, very national highlight at that time, the 2017. But now next come again back again on our article. So National People's Front both had four MLAs, and one from Trinamool, one from the Lok Janshakti Party. So it's became 31, and an independent, and an independent 32, and a Congress defector who was minister until his disqualification 3 years later, and who became the minister, but after 3 years he was disqualified, and the party managed to cross the halfway mark, and the party until this time party has already crossed around halfway. Defection continued, including from party allied with the BJP. The BJP now has 30 MLA, while the Congress has only 30. But so you can say where all these elements had gone. But an MLA has now joined the Janata Dal United, the BJP's national ally. Okay, so and the party in power at the center manages to exercise undue influence in Manipur politics, and that trend could continue this time too. So here is the editor is think that as BJP government in the center, so they can give an influence on the Manipur politics, and it can also give an influence on the next time whenever they will elect, because BJP government is going to be in India up to 2024, because they have a majority. In the next election, what will happen we will see in the future. After 2 years, the BJP has no pre-poll alliance. Now BJP has no pre-poll alliance when its principal rival, the Congress, has announced a tie-up with 5 smaller parties, including the Communist Party of India. So it is very interesting thing that Congress has formed alliance with Communist Party of India in Manipur, and in the Kerala, where they are against, there are only two major front. One was from the left parties and another is from Congress. So anything can be possible in politics. Chief Minister Nathumbam Biren Singh was himself once a Congress leader. A challenge to his continuation from within the BJP, if it were to form the government, is likely scenario. Thongam Viswajit Singh, a PW minister and influential party functionary, could well be in contention. In neighboring Assam, the BJP had replaced its chief minister after winning his second term last year. So what happened in the chief minister was Sarvanand Sonowal, who was a chief minister in Assam. But when he was won, they have chosen the Hemant Viswa Sarma as the chief minister, and now Sarvanand is in a central cabinet minister. So writer has sorry for the disturbance. Actually, I live nearby to railway station, so there is little disturbance. Okay, so now, yeah. So I was talking that in the Assam they don't make their previous previous chief minister or on his second when he was elected second time. So it may be happened in the Assam. Now in the second paragraph, in the broad geographical divide in the state, the Imphal Valley, where the Hindu non-tribal Metis community dominates, has an edge over the surrounding hills inhabited by the largely Christian Naga and Kuki-Zomi community. So in the hills, mostly Naga peoples are mostly Christian, and Kuki-Zomi communities. The valley has 14 seats and the hills 20. So there is a difference, that the valley, which is a Hindu majority area, which has 40 seats, and the hills has 20 seats. The BJP and its ideological partner RSS have tapped the valley for decades now. But the party also has a foothold among Christian. Patna party. So RSS and BJP have already tapped the valleys from the decades, but to go into the Christian, they also have putting their foot. The event of a hung assembly, the NPP and MPF both fighting alone in their respective stronghold could emerge influential. So these party, and hung assembly means there is not a clear majority. The NPF role is limited to a part of the Naga inhabited realm. The JDUs are also in the fray again. The Congress hopes the defection would help it regenerate with fresh face, and Congress also hoping that defection would help him with fresh face. The BJP wishes its focus on infrastructure, rural housing, water supply, electrification, and other schemes would help it. So BJP is going to in this election by focusing on infrastructure. CM's Go to Hills and Go to Blades program sought to bridge the psychological divide between the hills and the valleys. So CM Virendra Singh are doing these type of activities. The demand for the repeal of armed force Special Powers Act unite all sections of Manipur society, but the demand for repealing these FSPA powers has united both valley and hills people in the Manipur. The demand of scheduled tribe status for the Meitei community of hill areas, autonomous district council will for providing more autonomy to the tribal council, and the hill areas committee comprising all the 30 ML of Manipur Hills also will be talking point take in the campaign. So it was all from these two articles. We have read them. Now we will go for our main article. So the first I will zoom out so you will be able to see clearly the article. To the poll booth with no donor knowledge. So it is our today's article, and I will choose a highlighter here. Worries over the electoral bond scheme go beyond its patent unconstitutionally before democracy in election befalls. So it is all here the writer has written about the donation in the election, because in the electoral bond no one knows who is giving the donation to which political party. And in this article we will read and we will understand the point of view of this writer. So let's zoom in, and by zooming in, I hope now everything is clearly visible to you. Late last year, the Union government authorized the State Bank of India to issue and encase a new tranche of electoral bond. Okay, so a government has authorized the State Bank to issue the new tranche of electoral bonds in the last year. The 19 such parcel sales the scheme's notification in 2018. Okay, in the 2018 the notification was released regarding to this move for the government, this scheme the government. The timing of the announcement was predictable, with election stated to the held to 5 different state assemblies beginning next month. So here is writer saying that the time was very predictable, that the government has launched this scheme on when election was going to happen in 5 assembly states. So government was doing all of this only because of election. Now as a result, now from this what is the conclusion? Voters in those states will go to the ballot box with no knowledge about the donors backing the various constants. So now by this law, whoever will go the ballot box, here ballot box means when election will go happen, and people will cast their vote by EVM. It's not mean that they are going to cast their vote by ballot box, and they will have knowledge about the donors backing the various content with whom they are getting the donation. government has done all of this just these five, when election was going to happen in these five states. Anything but transparent. Anything we are, it means we need transparency, ensuring citizens have access to information, especially material on political funding. One would think it's an essential feature of a democracy. So a person should understand that political funding is, transparency of political funding is is a very essential for a feature of democracies. Like in democracy, every people has a right to know about the political funding and ensuring citizen to have the information. But ever since its introduction, the electoral bond scheme have abandoned the democratic process. But from when the electoral bond has introduced, it is it is majorly according to democratic process, because common people and the voter can't know about of these factors. So now let's democracy by destroying altogether any notation of transparency and political funding. So by there is no transparency in the political funding because of this electoral bond. In this time, the Supreme Court of India has paid scant attention to the issue. So in this time, Supreme Court of India should pay attention to this issue. It has allowed the scheme to continue unabated and has denied an interim cess on its operation without so much as conducting a full-fledged hearing. But Supreme Court had denied to hear the and say that it should operate, and they are not going to they are conducting a full-fledged hearing on it. In one such provisional order, the court asserted that the bonds were not in fact anonymous. So the court said that they are not any anonymous thing, that the bond everyone knows about it. Voters interested in finding out the identity of political donors, the bench said, could simply perform what the order described as match the following. According to it, since both the purchase and the encashment of bonds are made through banking channels, all it would take for a person to glean the identity of a donor was for her to look through every corporation financial statement. These records, the court said, ought to be available with the registrar of companies. Parties have no obligation, even assuming for a moment that voters have the resource to go through annual returns filed by every corporation in India. What the order ignored was that there is no attendant obligation on political parties to provide details to the public on each donation received by them through electoral bonds. Companies are also under the obligation to disclose the name of the party to whom they made the donation. So there is not any obligation that uh, government or any political party will have to disclose the name of donor to the public, and the public has a right that it's not an obligatory condition. Therefore, this makes the following exercise, apart from being impossible to perform, will also do nothing to pierce the veil concealing the bonds. This is because anonymity is written into the program's idols. It's represent the basic leitmotif of the system. When he explained the contours of the electoral bond scheme to the Lok Sabha, the then Union Finance Arun Jaitley stressed on this very feature. The donor will know which party he is depositing money to. He said the political party will file return with the election commission. Now, which donor gave to which political party, that is the only thing which will not be known. This avowed objective runs athwart one of the most basic features of a democracy, democracy that the right to freedom of expression, which the Constitution guarantees, include within it a right to know. The electoral bond scheme is designed to allow an individual or any artificial judicial person, including body corporates, to purchase bond issued by the State Bank of India during notified periods of time. These instruments are issued in the form of promissory note and the in dominations ranging from 1000 to 1 crore. Let's remove this highlighter. Okay. Once purchased, the buyer can donate the bond to any political party of their choice, and the party can then encash it on demand. So, what is that? Like there is a one different type of bonds are available in the SBI. A person can buy these bonds from the SBI, and after that he can submit to this political bond to any party, and then that political party will go to the bank, submit that electoral bond, and cash whenever they need. The purchaser are not obliged to disclose to whom they presented the bond, and the purchaser is not obliged, is not it is not an obligatory condition that they will have to disclose the name, and a political party encashing a bond is compelled to keep the donor's identity secret. So a donor can reveal or cannot reveal a name, but political party will have to keep the donor's identity secret. Untenable argument. What is more, a series of restrictions that were in place before the scheme's introduction have now been done away with. For example, amendments have been made removing a previous provision that disallowed a company from donating anything more than 7.5% of its net profit over the course of the preceding 3 years. So before uh, introducing these bonds, there was a amendment also made, which there was a rule, and which was restricting companies like private companies or big companies, which couldn't donate 7.5% of its net profits in the last 3 years, but they had removed this clause. Now company can donate any amount. Similarly, a mandate that a company had to have been existent for at least 3 years before it could make donation, a requirement that was aimed at discouraging person from using cell corporation to funnel money into political was also lifted. So there was also a rule that a company which is not with like a company should be three or more than 3 years old. Otherwise it can't donate amount to any political party, because it can be a sell company, like a fake company. Someone wanted to have the black money, a person have the black money, they wanted to donate to political party. So what will they do? They will form a new company just 2 to 3 2 months ago, and after that they will donate the amounts of by using this fake company name. But what government had did, they have lifted that 3 years ban, and now any company can donate. So it will also a very high chances that there will be a chances of getting a high money, the black money also. Thus, through its very architecture, it's the electoral bond scheme permits unlimited and anonymous corporate funding of political parties. So by this electoral bond, government can get unlimited amount and anonymous corporate funding the political parties can get in its defense. So what is the defense of, in its defense, the government The government says two things. Government has one, that voters have no fundamental right to know how political parties are funded. So the government's first point is that it is not the voters fundamental rights to know that how political parties are funded. And second, the schemes helps eliminate the role of black money in funding elections. So here's the 2 points. The first is that it's not voters fundamental rights to know that how political parties are getting fund, and the second is that it will eliminate the black money. On any reasonable examination, it ought to be clear that neither of these arguments is tenable. First, the Supreme Court has constantly held that voters have a right to freely express themselves during an election, and that they are entitled to all piece of information that give purpose and vigor to this right. So, Supreme Court has already stated that a voter has a right to know everything, like a voter has a freedom to express his views, to it's his right that whom he want to elect, whom he want to vote, and for choosing all right candidate, he is ought to know that who is the right candidate, and for this he need to collect all the information. And same in the case of electoral bonds and the funding, because if a voter will not be able to know the right source of funding, if a right source funding will not be available, so there might be there are in that candidates, there will be not option available for the right choice. Surely, to participate in the electoral process in a meaningful manner and to choose one's votes carefully, a citizen must know the identity of those backing the candidate. So here, why this is important, I have told you that because for giving a votes choose a one's votes carefully, a citizen, a voter must know the identity who's backing the candidates. Like if a person has a wrong motive and they are giving us lots of fund to candidates, and after if that person will elect in election, so after electing this political party, if a wrong person had funded, so then this political party will provide the benefit to those donors also. Second, an affidavits filed by the Election Commission of India in the Supreme Court have demonstrated the scheme, if anything, augments the potential role of black money in election. It does so by, among other things, removing existing barrier against sale entities and tying concern from donating to political parties. Moreover, even if the bonds were meant to eliminate the presence of unaccounted currency, it is difficult to see what nexus the decision to provide complete anonymity of the donor bears to this objective. Indeed, it is for this reason that the Reserve Bank of India reportedly advised the government against the scheme's introduction. Court's consideration, yet despite challenges to the scheme having been launched quickly on the heels of its notification in 2018, the court has failed to hear and decide on the program validity. So, however, it was a scheme launched in the 2018, but court hasn't decided anything yet. A delay in adjudication, as we have seen in the plethora of cases that are pending consideration, invariably really presents a fair accomplishment. In this case, the damage from the pendency is all the starker, because the integrity of electoral process is at stake. Judges of your warned as far back as in 1957 of the three posed by limitless corporate funding of elections. Chief Justice M.C. Chagla of the Bombay High Court predicted that any decision to allow companies to fund political parties might ultimately overwhelm and even throttle democracy in this country. Justice P.B. Mukherjee of the Calcutta High Court use language that was stronger still to induce the government of day by contributing money to the political funds of political parties is to adopt the most sinister principle fraught with grave dangers to commercial as well as public standards of administration. He wrote, the individual citizen, although in name equal, will be gravely handicapped in their voice because the length of their contribution cannot ever hope to equal the length of the contribution of the big companies. Today, those standards are heightened by individuals' voters not only being in a position where they are unable to match contributions made by corporations, but although find themselves in a position where they have no knowledge over the identity of the donors bankrolling the political establishments. Can there be greater threat to our democracy? So it was all in our today's editorial section. So have if you have read all this article, please subscribe this channel. And on the next day, I will come with your new editorial section and new English reading newspaper video. So thank you for being with me, and now it's time.